Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Michael.
And I'm Chris.
And we are MK Experience, Michael and Chris Experience. And today we have a fun one for you. We're going to talk about the 7 mistakes that RVers make before purchasing an RV. And boy, there's some good ones. Some of them kind of hurt. Some of them are kind of like, man, I wish I would have known. So maybe that'll be you today. So let's jump into it. Are you ready?
Let's roll.
All right, so we're going to kick it off here with mistake number 1, and that is not knowing your RV classes. So it's so important to know the class of RV, even when you want to go purchase one. So I remember back in the day when I was jumping up into the towable side of things from like tent camping, and I was sitting talking to a gentleman, and he started talking about class A's and class B's, and I was sitting there going, what is this guy talking about? And then he finally looked at me and he said, do you know your classes? And I'm like, no, I don't. So that's why I think it's really important to understand the classes. So I've made up a little chart that'll jump up on your screen, simple little chart, but a class A is simply a motorhome. So when you think about a motorhome, think about a class A. It doesn't matter if it's a diesel pusher, gas pusher, it doesn't matter. Class A is a motorhome in all length and sizes.
And a Class A is probably going to be on the more expensive, on the chart, and higher maintenance costs.
No, it's not higher maintenance costs. It's all about the thrill of camping.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, back in the day before I knew all about campers and trailers and all of the classes, I thought that having a motorhome was, that was the bomb. And when I saw anything else, I thought that was trailer trash. But I've obviously learned much different since I've actually delved into the world of camping and RV life.
Yeah, and so far we love the Class A life, and like you guys knew in the last video we talked about, the issues that we've already had. Of course, we bought ours used, but we love the Class A life, so to speak. So then we go to Class B, which is like your van life. So that's a huge market too. People who are doing the van life thing. Man, I just think about that small space.
Shower. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You had to think about how small that shower is and can I fit in it?
It's like a phone booth.
Right. And if you're claustrophobic, oh boy, I don't know. I don't think I could do it.
Here's the thing though about the van life. Like you think, well, if I do the van life thing and it's like a Mercedes chassis, that it's going to be cheaper than going with a fifth wheel or going with a Class A. And beside the size, those things are really expensive.
They are.
They're in the hundreds of thousands of dollars as well.
You can definitely get a much larger fifth wheel or pull behind for a much better price.
Yeah, for sure. But I guess they can go to a lot more places than what we can go. So there's your trade-off.
Yeah.
So then we move to the Class C, which the C class, a lot of people, like even me back in the day, I would just call them the van front, motorhome, right? But that is a Class C, the ones that look like a van front. And then of course now it's
they look like a van front with the motorhome body behind it.
Right. And then the Super Cs have come out, which are beautiful, and some people may think that they're a coach, and I think a lot of people blanket them, and they kind of are like a coach, but they're actually a Super C. They fit in the C class category. And then beyond there you have your towables. Anything that is towed by a bumper or a fifth wheel fits in the towable niche. And then beyond that you have your park models, and each one of those can fit a certain niche in the camping world, and it's something that you have to pick.
Yeah, and if you know anything about us, you know that we had a fifth wheel before we had a Class A, and I learned very quickly that I loved the fifth wheel life. I didn't necessarily like the pulling and the chucking that took place between the camper and the truck, but I loved the space and the layout that you got in a fifth wheel, and it's definitely, it's more affordable from that standpoint than buying a Class A.
Yeah, the maintenance is definitely a lot cheaper although they're still maintenance.
Yes.
But a lot of people, like we, they like the ceiling height, that you get when you're down in your main space, and that it is kind of nice because, here we don't have that same ceiling height. So again, there's the trade-off back and forth. So knowing your classes, that's number one. Okay, so the number two mistake is not renting before buying, which this is something like back in the day, you didn't really have that option. I think there were very few places that you could rent before you buy. But nowadays, I feel like that is a lot more prevalent. And the thing is, before you drop your 60 to 80K or whatever it is on an RV, find that model and see if you can rent it and take it for a test drive before you dump thousands of dollars into something and then go, yikes, I don't like this floor plan.
And, we've run into so many people that, had never RV'd before and wanted to get into that world, and they started small, and within months were trading up to larger campers. And I remember we ran into another family. It was like 3. They'd gone through 3 in less than 2 years. And so, having the ability to rent something and try it out, I think, is really important. And there's, sites like outdoorsy.com, RV Share, Cruise America. And now we've never used those personally, so we couldn't, vouch for them. Yeah. But we know that those are definitely sites that people use, and we can put those in the link below. But that's definitely something that you want to consider so you get the feel for it. Who knows? You may have glamorized it and get out there and think, this is not at all what I thought it was going to be. It's a lot more work.
Yeah, because I know there's a lot of people, that start out, they have the tent, kind of thing, and they're like, okay, we need to get to an RV, and they maybe say, well, we don't want to spend a whole lot of money, but we want to get off the ground, so to speak, and have a mattress, kind of a thing, and they'll
jump a toilet.
Yeah, well, and sometimes not even a toilet. Like they'll jump to like a teardrop style, which I'm not knocking the teardrop style. If that's your thing, then that's your thing. But then they'll get in this little thing and they'll be like, okay, yeah, this was a mistake. But after they've already dumped, thousands of dollars, and now we need to upgrade again. So, hey, we have the opportunity now to rent, so why not take advantage of that and take it for a test drive, see if that's really the floor plan or the style or the class that you like.
And another thing is finding channels like ours where you can watch and see just
the pain,
right?
There we go.
The problems, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that you can get a sense for what to anticipate, if you do decide to go ahead and invest in an RV.
That's so true. All right, the next one, number 3 mistake, is not knowing your towing capacity and weight. And this is a spicy one for us because we actually lived the pain of this. Hey, look, here's the thing. When you go to a dealership, they have some knowledge, but just like us, we thought we did enough research on the first truck that we purchased, and the dealership was like, oh yeah, sure, that truck will pull that all day long.
Well, and for me, to be honest, going back between a dually and the single wheel, I really didn't want to go the dually route. I mean, we were going to use our truck as an everyday driver, and that is a mammoth truck to
So we were thinking about convenience
Yeah.
over what we really needed. And of course, so here's one of our mistakes that a lot of you can learn from. Of course, we got videos on our channel that you can go back and watch that. But this one's near and dear to our heart. We can't stress enough that you need to understand, like if you're a fifth wheeler, you need to understand what the pin weight is in the back of the bed of your truck. I mean, unloaded, then you need to know the gross vehicle weight rating on top of it so that you really understand, can my truck bed handle all this weight plus tow it, plus the passengers and whatever you have in it, because that all counts as weight. So you really need to think about that. I can't stress that enough. I don't care if it's a bumper pole towable or what it is. Make sure you have, now I say, in videos that we filmed, I'd rather have more than enough of a truck, to handle it. So like I've seen people towing like maybe even like a 27-foot towable down the road, but they have a dually. Now, some people may be like, oh, that's way overkill, but you know what? I applaud you because you know what? You have enough, more than enough of a truck that can handle all that. And so err on the side of caution. I understand we all try to go, well, we're investing so many thousands into the RV that sometimes we want to cut corners on the trucks, and just do your research. I mean, really do your research on that, and make sure, don't make the mistake that we did, because, you know, we drove one truck off the lot, paid for that depreciation, to turn around a couple months later and trade it in for what we had Blackhawk, which
I think the one positive is we were doing that all in the midst of kind of COVID. And so we were lucky where, you know, the original vehicle pretty much retained its value, but it hadn't got to the point yet where there was a shortage. So we literally got our dually right before it went into the shortage of trucks, and the prices went way high. So I have to say we were lucky, but not everybody is going to be that lucky.
Yeah, you know, and the other thing, and I get it that they have this and it's nice, and we had it, but man, I tell you what, go to a long bed truck if you're a fifth wheeler over a short bed, because those slider hitches, I tell you what, I get it. They created them. I guess it's cool that there's engineered for the short bed truck. But man, I mean, those of you who have the sliders, you get it. You know, you go to pull away at a stoplight, and it's like, good chunk. I mean, you always feel that thing sliding and pushing in the back of the bed. To me, that's another thing. Like, if I was going to do it all over again, I would make sure that I had a long bed truck. And then just make sure that you have the pin weight, the gross vehicle weight rating of the truck, so that you guys can be safe out there, because I can't tell you how many people get into accidents because they don't have enough stopping power in their truck. So know your weight. All right, so number 4 mistake is skipping a professional inspection.
And that's if you're purchasing a used RV.
Yeah, and I suppose you could do it on a new one too, you know, and pay that money. So,
well, the difference with a new one though is you do have the 1-year warranty on it, so you've got that security, and knowing that if anything happens within that first year, they're going to take care of it for you.
So this is something that we have personal experience with as well, because we just had this choice happen to us not too long ago with our Newmar, and so as we called different insurance companies, some of them said, oh, you have to have this done before we'll even deal with you, and the one that we went with, actually, they said it's your choice. The difference is that you'd have to wait 30 days before it kicks in.
And now we are talking extended warranty insurance, not just regular insurance.
Yes, and we'll cover that in a little bit. But so we had this choice, you know, that we had to make, and I guess, you know, we felt really comfortable with the dealership that we were working with, so we felt that we could trust them. And I suppose that goes by a dealership kind of analysis that you'd have to make. So we chose to go with the dealership versus having the inspection done. Now, hindsight 2020, maybe, and it's nothing against the dealership, because they have been nothing but gracious to us, and they have worked with us, and so it has nothing to do with that. But hindsight being 2020, we would probably have had that done now. What do you think?
Yeah, I think just for peace of mind, and thankfully, you know, every issue that has come up, you know, Day Brothers has been great. They've sent us parts that we've had to, you know, replace, and they've been very accommodating, walked Michael through things over the phone, which has been great. And I don't know that every dealer would be like that, but I think as things began to uncover, you're like, oh my gosh, what's next? What's going to be next? What did we miss, or what did they miss, or, you know, what don't we know about that we're going to uncover? And so, yes, hindsight, if we had to do it all over again, I would say get the inspection. You know, and not that that's going to be perfect either, but it's definitely, it will give you, I think, more of a peace of mind.
Absolutely. Okay, so the number 5 mistake is not understanding the true cost of owning an RV. And oh boy, this is a big one, because sometimes, when you're jumping into RVing, you get so excited about the RV that you're getting ready to purchase that you don't think about all the things. That is just the beginning. So all those thousands of dollars that you're getting ready to spend, that's just the beginning. So give us some of the things, the more.
I mean, just little things, maybe it's an extension cord, which is, more than $100. You've got to have the snap pads if you want those, or some sort of pads to put under. You've got your chocks. I mean, that seems little, but wheel covers, all the things. There's so many gadgets.
The stinky slinky.
The stinky
Do you want
slinky.
TPMS? I mean,
right.
there are so many gadgets and accessories that you need to have, which is all over YouTube. You see everybody's, our 5 must-haves, our 6 must-haves, surge protectors. I mean, then there's maintenance costs, there's propane, there's campground fees. I mean, the list goes on, and some people say that you have your cost, and they say you should add 10 to 20% more to that cost, and then maybe you have to add even a little bit more to the cost. So as you know, there is a lot of costs involved.
Well, and when he talks about camping costs, yes, there are definitely places that you can go for free, but there's a lot more that will cost money. And depending on your lifestyle and how you like to camp, you could go to a campground that could cost you just as much or even more than a hotel room. So adding that on, and then of course all of the gasoline from getting from point A to point B, and that your miles per gallon when you're pulling a RV behind you is going to be very, very low. And with gas prices the way they are, you've got to build those expenses into, factor that in as well.
Yeah, so if you're like us right now, we're praying, Lord, please just have gas come down. Please have diesel fuel and gas come down before this summer. So obviously, boy, I mean, you have to count the cost. You really do. It's so important. All right, so the number 6 mistake that we feel that people make is you don't have any specialized insurance or any roadside assistance. And for us, I know this may be kind of touchy because some people may feel like, well, that's a waste of money. I don't want to have any of that kind of stuff. Personally, that's something that we definitely want to have. And we feel like at owning multiple RVs that you guys know, they break down. I hate to admit it, but they break down. There's issues almost constantly. And the joke is, that we drive these things through hurricanes and tornadoes every time we drive them down the road, but we expect them to be perfect. And although I love it when people say, I've never had an issue, with my RV. Awesome. That's so awesome. But for us, we just like having the assurance of insurance to know that it can help us so that there's not so much money coming out of our pocketbook right off the bat. So we have State Farm Insurance, which is our general insurance, and I'll let you talk about the extended.
Yes, and so we chose to go with an extended warranty, and we're using America's RV. Now, we haven't obviously had to do any claims yet, but the reviews that we read and everything that all the research we did, we just found that would meet our needs the most. I'd be curious if any of you have had experience with them. We'd love to hear your thoughts, or maybe you use someone else that you've had really good luck with. Let us know. But I know that, we chose to do an extended warranty with our fifth wheel, and it's not that we had major issues, but it was very nice to be able to address all the little things that did crop up.
Yeah, that's true. And then some people say, well, I just purchased mine, so it's brand new, so everything's covered right now, and for maybe a year or whatever it is, so we get that. You're not going to go out and buy something if you've already got some coverage, in that way. But we feel it's just a great thing to have, and we paid extra for tires and towing and stuff like that, because man, we've heard the stories, like maybe you've watched videos here on
Yeah.
YouTube too, of the horror stories, and where the price and the cost of things can add up so fast. So we feel it's important.
Yeah, and I know there's some RVers that we follow on YouTube, and I know that they chose specifically not to get the extended warranty. And I remember they had an issue and ended up having to have their Class A towed, and it was thousands of dollars to do that. And for the thousands of dollars that it cost them, I remember thinking, well, that's about half of what my entire extended warranty cost. So, within 2 issues, you could potentially pay for that extended warranty. And for us, that was, again, way worth the expense.
Yeah, absolutely. So we love it, we believe in it, and we think if nothing else, you should look into it for sure, because maybe it'd be a great benefit to you as well. All right, we are to mistake number 7. We saved the best for last. Well, I don't know, it doesn't matter. And that is, number 7 is not considering depreciation. And whenever I think about this comment, I don't know how many of you follow Dave Ramsey, but I hear Dave Ramsey because this video kind of went out, and I think it kind of went viral. And he said, anybody who's buying a boat, motorcycle, or RV, you might as well just take all your money out of savings, put it in the middle of your living room, and light it on fire. And that's kind of when I think about this, I think about that. So I guess that's the elephant in the room. Like, we all know that RVs are a depreciating asset, and it's something we talk about quite often here in our household. But I think there are things that you can do to have that not be such, because you pull these things off the lot, new ones, I'm not, and it's like 10 grand right off the bat, as soon as you drive off the lot, kind of thing. But I do think there are some things that you can do to help that. And to me, it's like a car. There are better brands that depreciate better, I feel like, than others, or brands that are more popular. And sometimes that does mean you have to spend more money to do that. But I do think by thinking and planning ahead, going, hey, if I trade this in, or if I go to sell it myself, what brand RVs are getting the best value in the trade-in or selling outright. And so you can hedge your bets that way, because as you guys know, I mean, like Forest River, we had a Forest River product, but like Forest River makes, I want to say, thousands of different ones. And guess what? They do run the gauntlet on how good they're built, and what's on the insides and the outsides, and
Quality.
It makes a big difference. So again, do your research, and pick the best brand. I feel like that you go, hey, I've looked at trade analysis of what this fifth wheel would be, what this Class A would be versus another brand's Class A. That's about the best we can do.
Yeah, and definitely that is, like you said, it's something to consider when you are making a purchase like this, because obviously it is a lot of money. And, depending on just how much you use it, and if you do have problems, you are going to have to put money into it. So is it about the enjoyment and having fun and getting out on the road, and just, that there's going to be stuff? I mean, you own a sticks and bricks house, there's stuff, right? The only thing is, if you choose to do it full time, or if you get stuck somewhere on the road, if you're living in your RV and that's your house, you got to find another place to live when you send your RV off to wherever it is that you're getting it fixed.
Yeah, I think like with anything, you have to love it. And that's how you have to look, like, hey, I'm purchasing this because I know there's going to be a train wreck, possibly, or something waiting to break down. But
yeah, don't speak that into it. But it is.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, nothing's perfect. You are definitely going to have to deal with issues. Hopefully smaller than bigger. But we've followed people on Instagram and Facebook that have faced all kinds of issues from little to pretty substantial.
Yeah.
So, those are just things to think about. So definitely researching your brand, knowing the quality, reading the reviews, talking to people who own them as well, and, buying used versus buying new. And, buying used can be great because obviously you're going to knock off a lot of that depreciation. And if you've got somebody who has treated it well and it's in great shape, you're going to get a lot more for your value. But then, you buy something older, and older things also come with its own set of problems. So all those things are things that you should take into consideration. Don't let it overwhelm you. And I mean, we can say at the end of the day, we love the RV life. It's definitely enjoyable. And just to be able to take the things that you love with you on the road.
Like dogs?
Like dogs, like your favorite dishes. You're like, with us, I love our espresso maker and my favorite coffee cup. There's just those things, my pillow, my blanket, the things that I enjoy day to day. It's just really nice to be able to travel and have those things with us on the road.
Yeah, and another thing that you could look into, if you don't know this, so we joined when we had our Riverstone. We joined a Facebook group of Riverstone. So it was really great because we could all ask each other questions, and now that we're Newmar owners, we're part of that group. It's all kinds of knowledge-based stuff. So even if you're thinking about purchasing something, you can still join that group and say, hey guys, I'm thinking about purchasing, a Newmar Dutch Star or a Riverstone Legacy fifth wheel or whatever. What are your pros? What are your cons? And I love it because people will really be honest, and share the goods and the bads, and that can help you in your decision-making process as well. And we've used it already with Newmar to ask questions of people who've owned them way longer than us, and it's been very helpful. So I want to recommend that to you too. So before we end this video, we would like share your thoughts with us on any of these 7 mistakes that we brought up. Has any of this ever happened to you? And what did you do to resolve it? We want to hear your thoughts, and so share that with us. I mean, even from insurance. You got anything to add?
Well, and just let us know, was this helpful? Did this bring up some thoughts that maybe you hadn't been thinking about, and maybe there's some other topics you'd like us to speak on. So we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, and maybe this is something that you could share with your friends who are considering about jumping into the RV world, which that's what I love this kind of content for, because it can really help some other people that are getting into it. By your growing pains, if you will, you can eliminate maybe a little bit here and there for somebody else to go through. So thank you for sharing your comments with us. And hey, thanks for watching. We really do appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, we would be honored if you'd subscribe and follow us, and then hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Every time we post a video, you'll be notified. And with that, we say God bless.
And safe travels.